all myths start with the unknown. As victims of Abrahamic colonization, we often unconsciously impose restrictions on our ideas and philosophical explorations, relegating diverse spiritual and philosophical traditions to the shadows of our consciousness. This internalization of monotheistic frameworks, which emphasize singular truth and rigid moral codes, can suppress our connection to indigenous and polytheistic beliefs that once flourished. Practices like magic, witchcraft, and the worship of multiple deities may be stigmatized, limiting our ability to embrace and integrate these rich traditions into our spiritual and intellectual lives. Overcoming these internalized restrictions requires a conscious effort to acknowledge and reclaim the suppressed aspects of our heritage, fostering a more inclusive and pluralistic approach to spirituality and philosophy. Additionally, we often encounter spiritual teachers who exploit these psychological tethers, pushing narratives or secrets that should be freely available, thereby commodifying spiritual knowledge and creating barriers to genuine understanding and growth. The practices of ancient Greek religion, when discussed in a modern context, were not bound by divine mandate, but were instead shaped by the collective spiritual perceptions of the people. Unlike many contemporary religious systems, where divine commandments are central, the ancient Greeks did not adhere to a single codified set of religious laws. Instead, their religious and ethical practices were fluid, evolving through communal consensus and cultural tradition. The ethical standards and rituals of ancient Greece were determined by a combination of mythological narratives, philosophical insights, and societal norms, reflecting a diverse and dynamic approach to spirituality and morality. This system allowed for a rich tapestry of religious expression, where the actions deemed ethically sound were those that resonated with the collective conscience and spiritual understanding of the community. Ancient Greece was composed of numerous city-states, each with its own government, laws, and customs. Each city-state had its own religious practices, festivals, and patron deities. For example, Athena was particularly revered in Athens, while Apollo was central to the religious life of Delphi. This political fragmentation meant that religious practices were decentralized, with each polis maintaining its own religious traditions and rituals without a unifying authority overseeing all practices. Important religious sites such as the Oracle of Delphi and the Sanctuary of Olympia served as pan-Hellenic centers where people from different city-states came for divination, worship, and athletic competition. However, these sites did not enforce a standardized religious practice across Greece. Oracles provided divine guidance and were influential, but they did not constitute a central religious authority. Their influence was based on their perceived spiritual power rather than administrative control. Greek religion was also practiced at the household level, with families maintaining domestic rituals and altars to household gods such as Hestia, the goddess of the hearth. Ancestor worship and the veneration of household deities were common, reflecting a personal and familial dimension of religious practice that was independent of any central authority. Mystery cults, such as those of Dionysus and the Eleusinian mysteries, offered more personal and mystical religious experience. Initiates participated in the secretive rites that promised deeper spiritual insights or a better afterlife. These cults operated independently of state control and allowed individuals to explore their spirituality in ways that differed from the public civic religion. Greek mythology was not codified in a single sacred text, but was transmitted through a variety of sources, included epic poems like Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey, Hesiod's Theogony, and various local myths. The multiplicity of sources meant that different regions and communities could have their own versions of myths and the interpretation of their own gods. Greek philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, and the Stoics engaged with religious concepts in very diverse ways. often critiquing traditional myths and offering new interpretations of the divine. These philosophical schools contributed to the diversity of religious thought without imposing a unified religious doctrine. Separating religion from magic in ancient cultures is nearly impossible due to the deeply intertwined nature of these practices and beliefs. In many ancient societies, what we now categorize as magic and religion were not seen as distinct or separate domains, but rather as parts of a single cohesive system interacting with the divine and the natural world. In ancient cultures, religious rituals and magical practices often employed similar methods and tools. Offerings, invocations, sacrifices, and the use of sacred objects were common in both religious and magical contexts. For example, in ancient Greece, rituals to honor the gods and magical spells to influence outcomes often involved similar acts of chanting, praying, and the use of amulets or other symbolic items. Both religion and magic aimed to influence the world, gain favor from supernatural entities, and provided explanations for natural phenomena. Religious ceremonies sought to appease deities and ensure divine favor for things like good harvest, protection, and health, while magical practices often had the same goals, but through more direct manipulation of the universe's forces. Mythological narratives often blur the lines between religion and magic. Gods and heroes in myth frequently engage in acts that we might categorize as magical, such as casting spells, using enchanted objects, or transforming shapes. These stories reflect the belief that the divine and magical forces were part of the same reality. The modern distinction between religion as a system of organized worship and belief and magic as a set of practices aimed at manipulating supernatural forces did not exist in the same way in ancient cultures. These societies did not categorize their spiritual practices according to our contemporary definitions, making it anachronistic to apply these distinctions retroactively. Sympathetic magic operates on two key principles: like affects like and contagion. The first principle, like affects like, suggests that similar things can influence each other. For example, creating an image of an effigy of a person allows one to influence that person by performing actions on the effigy. This is akin to making a doll to represent someone, and then using that doll in a ritual to affect the real person. The second principle, contagion, posits that objects that have been in contact with each other continue to influence each other even after they are separated. Personal items such as hair or clothing can be used in rituals to affect the person they belong to. In Greek traditions, this might involve using items or relics associated with specific gods or heroes to invoke their power or blessings. In ancient Greece, sympathetic magic was a common practice, intertwined with religious and ritualistic activities. Examples include using symbols, charms, and incantations to protect against evil or to bring good fortune. Greek magicians and healers often used images, herbs, and stones believed to hold specific powers or connections to deities and natural forces. One notable example of sympathetic magic in ancient Greece is the use of the colossi. Colossi were statues or figurines representing gods, humans, or animals, and were often used in rituals to influence the person or deity they depicted. These effigies could be used for various purposes, such as invoking protection, casting spells, or even cursing enemies. The statues were believed to hold the essence of the person or deity they represented, making them powerful tools in magical practices. Another fascinating practice was the scapegoat ritual, also known as the Pharmakos. Love spells and rituals also employed sympathetic magic, objects like love knots or dolls representing a desired partner were used to attract love and enhance fertility. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, was frequently invoked in such practices with offerings or representations of her symbols such as doves, roses, copper. Farmers used sympathetic magic to ensure good harvest, planting seeds during specific lunar phases, or using effigies to protect crops. These practices are deeply symbolic. Healers in ancient Greece used sympathetic magic for medical purposes, creating amulets or performing rituals with plants and stones believed to have healing properties. Protective charms were made to ward off the evil eye or other negative influences. The colossi were often placed in homes or temples to ward off evil spirits and bring good fortune. The scapegoat ritual was used to cleanse the community of misfortune and miasma. By symbolically transferring these negative aspects to a scapegoat, the community sought to restore harmony and purity. The ritual underscores the use of sympathetic magic to address societal issues and reflects the deep belief in the power of symbolic acts to influence reality. Even today, modern practitioners of sympathetic magic continue to use these principles. They create vision boards, use crystals, or perform rituals with items that symbolize their intentions. Sympathetic magic is often incorporated into modern Wiccan and pagan practices, drawing from the ancient traditions and adapting them into contemporary context. Personal items, photographs, and symbolic representations are used in modern ritual to influence outcomes, protect, or to heal. Using a lock of hair in a spell to send healing energy to a loved one is based on the law of contagion. Interestingly, the principles of sympathetic magic and contagion can be seen as the early understanding of what we might now call entanglements within the greater Greek mysteries. These concepts illustrate how ancients perceived the interconnectedness of all things, where actions and objects are intertwined, influencing each other across distances and time. This belief in entanglement underscores the profound and intricate nature of their spiritual and magical world view. The Greek magical papyri is a significant cross-cultural collection of texts that exemplifies sympathetic magic. These papyri, dating from the 2nd century BCE to the 5th century CE, include a variety of magical spells, formulas, hymns, and rituals from Greco-Roman Egypt. The PGM incorporates influences from Greek, Egyptian, and other Near Eastern traditions, showing the syncretic nature of magical practices within the ancient world. Many spells involve creating figurines or drawings to represent individuals, then performing actions on these representations to affect the actual persons. Similarly, the use of personal items such as hair or clothing in rituals is common, establishing a magical connection with individual through the concept of contagion. The PGM features a diverse range of spells, including those for love, healing, protection, and cursing. Love spells might involve the use of figurines or images to attract or influence romantic partners, while healing spells often use herbs, amulets, and other items believed to hold magical properties. Protection and curse spells similarly employ symbolic actions or objects to transfer their effects. This collection vividly demonstrates how different cultural elements from Greek, Egyptian, and other traditions merge to create a rich tapestry of magical practices. The PGM offers a fascinating insight into the ancient world's approach to sympathetic magic, reflecting the universal human desire to influence and understand the forces around us through symbolic actions and objects. It is important to practice ethical sympathetic magic, emphasizing the importance of intent and consent. Practitioners should consider the moral implications of their actions and use sympathetic magic responsibly. Respecting the origins and cultural significance of the symbols and practices used is essential. Practitioners should avoid cultural appropriation and strive to honor the traditions from which these practices originate. Sympathetic magic is profound and an enduring aspect of human culture, deeply rooted in ancient practices and continuing to influence modern spiritual and magical traditions. By understanding the principles of similarity and contagion and how they manifest in various rituals and practices, we can appreciate the intricate ways in which humans have sought to influence and harmonize with the world around them. For anyone interested in delving deeper into the fascinating world of ancient Greek mystery cults or magic, I highly recommend exploring the works of Sarah Iles Johnson, a renowned scholar in this field. Johnson's research offers comprehensive insights into the complexities of Greek religious practices, focusing particularly on the esoteric and mystical aspects of the ancient Greek world. Her detailed analysis shed light on rituals, beliefs, and cultural significance of mystery cults and magical practices, providing a nuanced understanding of how these traditions fit into the broader tapestry of Greek religion and society. Her books and articles are invaluable resources for anyone seeking to understand the rich and intricate spiritual landscapes of ancient Greece. In the exploration of magic within ancient Greek religion, the figure who stands at the very center is goddess Hecate. Revered as the goddess of witchcraft, magic, and crossroads, Hecate embodies the liminal spaces where the mortal and the divine intersect. Her associations with the night, the moon, and the underworld grant her dominion over the unseen and mysterious realms, making her a pivotal figure in both practical and esoteric magical traditions. In the eyes of ancient Greeks, Hecate would be considered the conceptual authority on magic. Her role extends beyond mere superstition. She is a protector of the household, a guide for souls, and a powerful deity invoked in various magical rites and rituals. As such, she not only represents the spiritual and mystical dimensions of ancient Greek magic, but also serves as a bridge between the human and the supernatural, guiding practitioners through the complexities of the ancient magical world. Hecate's enduring presence in Greek mythology and her continued veneration in contemporary practices underscore her central position in the pantheon of magical deities, reflecting the profound and multifaceted nature of ancient Greek spirituality and magic.